Before we crack open tonight's cursed can of content, I just want to say a big thank you to all our subscribers, and an extra sinister shout out to the loyal members of the Sinister Elite. You legends help keep the darkness alive. If you're enjoying the stories and want to take it a step further, hit that like button, make sure you're subscribed, and consider joining the Sinister Elite by clicking that join button below. Members get access to creepy custom emojis and exclusive Sinister Elite badges that level up the longer you survive with us. It's like loyalty, but spookier. All right, lights off, headphones in, and let's summon something we'll all regret. The chamber was silent after the breach sealed. Silent in a way that felt wrong. Like the world itself was holding its breath. Frost still floated in the air. Broken stone hovered weightless. The last echoes of the spark faded around me, and I felt empty, hollow, drained, like someone had scooped out everything inside me and replaced it with cold moonlight. I looked down at my hands. The silver glow was fading. Not gone. Just sleeping. Waiting. The feral king lay beside me, chest barely rising, black ice spreading across his ribs. His blood steamed against the cold floor. I dropped to my knees again. My voice cracked. Hey, stay with me. His eyes fluttered. Slow, weak, but they opened. Silver light still shimmered faintly inside them. Not the monstrous black fire, something softer, something almost human. My father groaned from the far side of the room. The daywalkers rushed to him, pressure on wounds, shaking hands. The leader limped toward me, face pale, eyes wide. He stared at the feral king, at the ancient being's shattered remains, at me. "Kid," he whispered, "what did you just do?" I swallowed hard, my chest still buzzing with leftover power. "I don't know." My voice was quiet, honest. "I didn't mean to do that." The leader looked around the ruined chamber, looked at the shattered ice, looked at the collapsed breach, looked at the fading runes on the floor. "You ended an ancient," he said softly. "Nobody's ever done that." A daywalker whispered behind him, "Kings can't even do that." I didn't feel proud. I didn't feel powerful. I felt sick and scared, because something bigger had spoken to me. Not the ancient, not the feral king, not the royals, the throne itself, the spark inside me, and it wasn't done. The leader knelt beside me. "Kid, we need to move. This whole place is collapsing." He was right. The floor was shaking. Dust fell from the ceiling. The air tasted like electricity and old death. But I couldn't leave. Not without him. Not without the monster who had saved me. I placed a hand on the feral king's chest. Cold, rough, almost stone. "Get up," I whispered. "You've survived worse. I know you have." His breathing hitched, faint, barely there. My father called out behind me, voice weak, breaking. "Son, listen." I turned. He looked worse than I'd ever seen him. Skin gray, veins glowing dim silver, blood soaking through his clothes. He held out a shaking hand. "You have to go." I shook my head. "I'm not leaving you. I'm not leaving him either." My father coughed, winced, forced the words out. "You don't understand. The throne. It took everything from you." He swallowed hard. "You are half awake now, half alive, half dead." I stared at him, cold settling in my bones. "What does that mean?" He blinked slowly, eyes glassy. "It means the spark is choosing. It is deciding what you become." My stomach twisted. "And what is that?" He hesitated. Too long, too careful. "The throne's heir." I shook my head. "I don't want that." "It doesn't matter." His voice cracked. "You don't get to choose fate. It chooses you." The ground shook harder. A massive chunk of ceiling crashed down behind us. Dust exploded across the chamber. The leader flinched. "We're out of time." But before anyone could move, a distant tremor rolled through the cavern. Not the collapse, not the breach. Something else. Another presence. A new sound echoed from above. A deep rhythmic thrum. Mechanical. Cold. Then, a beam of golden light shot down the staircase. The leader cursed. "Oh, hell no! The royals are coming back!" I froze. "What? The king is dead." "Yeah," the leader said. "But kings don't travel alone." Golden sparks rained from above. Footsteps echoed. Dozens of them. Heavy boots. Armor shifting. Then hundreds. The daywalkers tensed. Weapons raised. Eyes hard. The leader looked at me. "They're not here to fight us," he said quietly. "They're here for you." Another crash echoed above. Another golden flare. A voice boomed down the staircase. Sharp, cold, authoritative. "Bring us the heir." Another voice answered, "And kill anyone who stands with him." The daywalkers cursed. My father closed his eyes. The leader raised his cracked sword. But the feral king, on the ground barely breathing, moved. His fingers twitched. His chest rose, slow, painful. He forced himself up an inch, then another. I grabbed his arm. "Stop, you'll die." His eyes opened again, black fading into silver, a storm dying behind them. He whispered, "They cannot take you." The leader stared at him. "Why does he keep saying that? Why does he care if they take you?" My father answered, barely audible. "Because he remembers who the heir really is." The stairs trembled. Golden armor gleamed in the archway. Royal soldiers poured in. Dozens, hundreds, a tide of light and steel. Their leader stepped forward, cloaked in gold, eyes burning like suns. A new royal king crowned in fire. He lifted his sword, pointed it at me. "By decree of the crown, the heir will kneel." I stood, slow, my veins flickering with fading silver. "I'm done kneeling." The new king smiled. That was the wrong answer. He raised his blade. The soldiers readied theirs. The daywalkers tensed. The feral king tried to rise again. My father whispered my name, and the spark inside me, still glowing faintly, stirred. Tomorrow, it wakes again. The new royal king stepped into the chamber. Golden armor blazed around him. Every plate glowed like fire trapped in metal. His sword dragged sparks across the frozen floor. He looked at me, not with curiosity, not with fear, with ownership. "The heir of the throne." His voice rang like a bell struck with steel. "You belong to the crown now." I didn't answer. The spark inside me twitched, weak, tired, but alive. The daywalkers stepped between us, shields raised, bodies shaking, but ready. The leader lifted his cracked sword. "You're not taking him." The royal king didn't even look at him. He raised one hand. A pulse of golden force blasted outward. The daywalkers flew like broken dolls, armor shattering, bodies slamming into the stone walls. Only the leader stayed on his feet, barely. He coughed blood, but didn't move aside. "You will die," the king said. "For nothing." The leader spat on the floor. "Then I die standing." The king tilted his head, almost amused. "You daywalkers always were loyal to the wrong line." He raised his sword, ready to end him. I stepped forward. The spark inside me flared. Silver lines crawled across my skin. "Leave him alone." The new king's eyes shifted toward me, burning brighter, judging. "You are injured," he said. "You are drained. You cannot fight me." He wasn't wrong. My body felt hollow. My limbs felt heavy. My vision blurred at the edges. But I stepped forward anyway. "You want me?" I said. "I'm right here." The king smiled, cruel, confident, cold. "Then kneel." He raised his sword. Golden fire wrapped around the blade. It hummed, hungering. Behind me, the feral king stirred. Barely. A broken giant trying to stand. He whispered, "Don't." The king's gaze flashed his way. "You again." He pointed the flaming sword. You should have stayed dead. The feral king tried to rise, failed. His body trembled. Black ice cracked, blood steamed, but he growled. The leader grabbed my arm. Kid, you can't fight him like this. He was right. The spark was too weak. It felt like a dying heartbeat inside my ribs. The throne wasn't answering. The chamber was dead. The breach was silent. And I had nothing left. The king stepped closer. I will take you now. You will drink from the crown. You will kneel at my feet. No, no, no. The spark twitched again, like it wanted to wake, like it wanted to rise. But it was fading. The king lifted his sword for the killing stroke. Golden fire swirled around him. The air burned. Bow. I didn't move. Not an inch. My voice came out quiet, but steady. I said no. He swung. A flash of silver cut through the air. A blur of motion I didn't expect. A sound like metal screaming. The golden blade stopped. Not because of me. Because something blocked it. A long handle. Wooden. Ancient. Cracked. A mop. My mop. Moptimus Prime. He wasn't glowing, or floating, or doing anything weird. He was just there, in my hand, raised perfectly, locked against the royal king's flaming sword. The leader blinked. Hard. Is that your mop? I didn't answer. I didn't even remember grabbing it. Moptimus felt warm in my hand. Warmer than he should. Alive. The king stared at the wooden handle blocking his blade. His voice sharpened. What trick is this? I didn't know, but Moptimus seemed to. He vibrated in my hand, like he was answering something I couldn't hear. The spark inside my chest pulsed again. Bright. Stronger. Responding to the mop. No, responding to something inside the mop. A memory flashed behind my eyes. The throne, the breach, the silver door, a shard of light floating alone, a piece of the throne, a fragment of the spark, hidden, disguised, bound into an ordinary cleaning tool. By who? By my mother. The truth hit me like a hammer. Moptimus Prime wasn't just some weird mop. He was a vessel, a container, a protector. He was carrying a fragment of the throne. That's why the spark reacted to him. That's why he saved my life. That's why the ancients sensed something off. My mother hid a piece of the throne in plain sight, waiting for me to find it, waiting for me to awaken it. The king pushed down harder. Golden fire crushed against the mop's handle, but Moptimus didn't break, not even a crack. Silver light surged through the wood, through my arm, through my chest. The spark inside me roared awake. The king staggered back. His sword dimmed, his eyes widened. What is that thing? I lifted Moptimus. Silver lightning crawled across the handle. He's mine, I said. The king hesitated, just for a moment. You carry the throne's spark, and another spark within your weapon. His voice lowered. That is forbidden. I stepped forward. So stop me. The king raised his sword again. Golden fire reignited, fierce, burning bright. Very well. If you refuse to kneel, he pointed the flaming blade at my heart. You will die as a traitor to the crown. I tightened my grip on Moptimus. The spark in my chest pulsed. Silver flames rose around me. The final war was about to start. Right here, right now, in the ruins of my ancestors' city. The king charged. The daywalkers braced. The feral king tried to stand again. The chamber shook with every step, and I stepped forward to meet my fate. Air, spark, weapon, or something entirely new. I didn't know what I was. Not yet. But I knew one thing. I wasn't running anymore. The royal king charged. Gold fire roared around him. The floor melted beneath his boots. The air warped from the heat. His blade burned like a newborn sun. A weapon meant to end bloodlines. A weapon meant to end me. I tightened my grip on Moptimus. The wooden handle throbbed in my palm. A pulse, a heartbeat, a warning, or a promise. The king swung. The air screamed, the chamber lit in gold, his blade came down, and Moptimus moved on his own. The mop spun in my hand, fast, precise, perfect. Wood and ancient silver caught the royal blade, not with force, with intent. A shockwave blasted outward, stone shattered, dust spiraled. The daywalkers shielded their faces. The king staggered back, eyes wide, disbelieving. "This is impossible." Moptimus hummed, a low, vibrating growl, protective, alive. I felt the spark in my chest pulse in rhythm with it. Silver light crawled up the handle, down my arm, across my ribs. The king regained his stance, his voice sharpened. "That weapon holds a relic of your line. My line destroyed yours for a reason." He lifted his sword again. Golden flame surged. "And I will finish what my predecessor started." He lunged again. Moptimus twisted, spun, clashed with the golden blade in a storm of sparks. The mop wasn't just blocking hits. He was guiding my arm, correcting my stance, teaching me, protecting me. The king struck again, and again, and again. Each time, Moptimus countered, redirected, deflected. The wood didn't burn, didn't chip, didn't bow. The king grew furious. "That is not a weapon!" Moptimus sparked silver lightning. Guess we disagreed. The leader shouted from behind a broken pillar. "Kid, I think your mop is sentient." "Yeah," I yelled back. "No kidding." The king roared and spun his blade in a massive arc. A wave of golden fire surged toward me. Moptimus responded instantly. He slammed into the ground, dragging my arm with him, and a wall of silver frost erupted upward. The fire hit the frost. Steam exploded outward. The chamber filled with boiling mist. I couldn't see, could barely breathe. A shadow blurred through the fog. Fast, deadly silent. The king. His blade slashed for my throat. Close. Too close. Moptimus jerked my arm sideways, and the blade missed by inches. The king growled. "You cannot even control your own weapon." I swung Moptimus. Hard. A wide arc. The king blocked, but not cleanly. The mop cracked against his armor. A streak of silver burned across the gold. The king recoiled. He looked down at the mark, shocked. That should not be able to harm me. I didn't fully understand it either, but I felt it. Inside Moptimus, deep within the grain of the wood, a heartbeat, a presence, a will. My mother's magic, her last rebellion, her last secret. She hid a piece of the throne in the most unlikely place. A simple mop, a cleaning tool, because no king would ever think to look there. The spark in my chest pulsed louder, stronger. Moptimus hummed. Silver threads of light wrapped around my arm, then my shoulder, then my ribs. The king's eyes narrowed. "You haven't stabilized. You're a half-awakened vessel. One wrong move and you'll tear yourself apart." He wasn't wrong. The spark felt volatile, unsettled, wild, like a storm trapped under my ribs. But I raised Moptimus anyway. "I'll take my chances," the king snarled. "Then die with your mop." He charged again, a hurricane of gold, a living sun. Moptimus moved before I did. He spun upward. Silver light erupted. A vortex formed around us, a whirlwind of frost and lightning. The king swung, but the vortex bent the arc of his blade. The golden strike missed completely. The king stumbled off balance, exposed. Moptimus flashed. Silver lightning surged down the handle. It felt like my arm was guiding him, or like he was guiding me. I swung. Moptimus struck the king's chest, and the golden armor shattered. Shards flew across the chamber, bursting into golden sparks. The king fell to one knee, hand on the ground, eyes blazing with fury and disbelief. You dare!" I stepped forward, Moptimus humming like a living engine, my veins glowing, bright silver again. "Yeah," I said quietly, "I dare." The king's face twisted. "You are nothing but a half-blood bouncer." I was. Another step. I served drinks, Another step. I followed rules. Another step. But now, I raised Moptimus. Silver lightning spiraled around us. The chamber lit white. I'm done serving kings. The king rose, staggering, bleeding golden light. You will never wear the crown. I looked him dead in the eyes. Watch me. We charged at the same time. Gold against silver, fire against frost, royalty against the last heir. The chamber exploded in light. The war for the future of my bloodline had finally begun. The royal king slammed into me. Gold and silver collided. Fire and frost exploded. The chamber vanished in a blinding flash. When the light cleared, we were locked blade to mop. My feet dug into the cracked floor. His boots melted through it. He snarled inches from my face. You are not a king. Moptimus hummed in my grip. Steady, confident, almost amused. Funny, I said. Neither are you. He roared. Golden fire erupted from his armor. It washed over the room. Pillars melted, stone bubbled. The daywalkers dove for cover, but the flames stopped at my feet. A silver circle glowed beneath me. A seal, a rune, a protection older than any royal crown. The king stared. That sigil has been dead for 1,000 years. Moptimus pulsed. Silver threads ran up my arms, onto my chest, into my heart. The spark answered, alive again, burning cold. Maybe it woke up, I said. The king's expression twisted. It woke you, you fool. He spun and slashed. A vertical arc of golden fire, enough to cut mountains. Moptimus swung upward on instinct. He caught the blade clean. Steel met old wood, and the king's sword cracked. A fracture. Thin, jagged, spreading. His eyes widened. No! He swung again, harder, desperate. Moptimus countered every strike, perfectly, effortlessly, like he'd been fighting kings for centuries. The king backpedaled. How is a mop doing this? I shrugged. He's got talent. The leader yelled from the rubble. Kid, you're making history with a cleaning tool. The king's fire blazed hotter. You think this is humorous? I am the crown! He lunged. His blade collided with Moptimus. The impact shook the chamber. Cracks formed along the king's sword. Light bled from them, gold dripping like molten glass. His expression turned from anger to panic. No, not the royal blade. But it was too late. Moptimus thrummed. A silver echo filled the air. A cold wind swept outward. The king screamed, Stop! Stop! That weapon is not meant to exist! I met his eyes. Neither was I. Moptimus struck the blade. Once. A single clean impact. The royal sword shattered. Pieces scattered across the floor. Gold sparks flickered and died. The king fell to one knee, breathing hard, stunned. Behind him, his soldiers froze. Their formation broke. Their confidence cracked. A king without a crown is just a man with fear. He looked at his hands, then at me. You don't understand, he whispered. Without the royal blade, the throne will reject us. Good, I said. For once, it's rejecting the right people. He rose shakily, golden flames dimming. Blood, bright and molten, dripped from his armor. You think you can take the crown? I tightened my grip on Moptimus. No. I think it already chose me. He roared in pure rage. He charged, fast, desperate, killing intent in every step. I stepped forward to meet him, but someone else moved first. A massive shadow, broken, bleeding, the feral king. He rose from the ground like a resurrected mountain, black ice falling from his shoulders, his chest still pierced, but his body moving through sheer, impossible will. He slammed his clawed hand into the royal king's back, crushing armor, lifting him off his feet. The royal king screamed. Golden blood spilled. The feral king roared, You will not touch the heir! He hurled the king across the chamber. The body crashed into a pillar. Stone collapsed over him. The chamber shook. Dust rained down. Silence followed. The royal king crawled out, barely alive, coughing golden blood, armor cracked open like an egg. He glared at the feral king. You were supposed to obey us." The feral king staggered forward, bleeding heavily, eyes dim but burning. "I obey no crown," he growled. "I only protect him." A cold ache hit my chest. I didn't know what to say, didn't know how to breathe. The royal king turned to me, desperation mixing with hatred. "If the throne chooses you, the royals are finished." I stepped forward. "Yeah, that's kind of the point." His voice cracked. "You will bring a war. A worse war. A world-ending war." "Maybe," I said. "But you started this one." The king crawled backward, cornered, broken. "Please," he whispered. "Spare me. We can rule together. We can rebuild the crown." I lifted Moptimus. Silver lightning wrapped around the handle. "You threatened my father. You hunted my bloodline. You tried to steal the spark. You tried to make me kneel." I raised the mop. "And nobody steals from the bar staff." He screamed as I swung. A flash of white, a blast of silver. Silence. The royal king fell, lifeless gold light flickering out like a dying lantern. The soldiers dropped their weapons. Some fell to their knees. Some fled. Some stared at me in awe. The leader whispered, "Kid, you just killed a king." I exhaled slowly. No. I ended one. Behind me, the feral king collapsed again, injured, dying, but smiling. Not monstrous, not broken, proud. My father whispered from the rubble, "Son, you are the last heir now, and tomorrow you claim the throne." The chamber went still. Every eye turned to me. The heir, the spark-bearer, the future king of all vampires, and all I could think was, I used to serve drinks. The chamber was still. The royal king lay dead, his golden armor dim, his blade shattered, his crown cracked down the middle. The daywalkers stared at me like I wasn't a person anymore, like I was something new, something dangerous, something inevitable. The feral king lay behind me, barely breathing, black ice spreading across the floor beneath him. A monster, a guardian, a dying relic of a forgotten age. My father slumped against the wall, silver blood dripping from his fingertips, eyes half open, skin pale. But he was smiling, weakly, proudly. "Son," his voice trembled, "you ended a royal line, with a mop." Even now, even dying, he found humor in it. The leader limped over. He stared at Moptimus like it was a holy artifact. "Kid," he whispered, "is that thing enchanted?" I looked down at the mop. The handle flickered with faint silver glow. Warm, calm, alive. "Yeah," I said softly. "He is." The leader blinked. "He?" Before I could answer, the ground trembled. A deep vibration. Not an attack, not the breach. Something older. A pulse. The floor beneath us lit with a soft silver circle. Symbols spiraled outward. Frost crept across the stones. My father inhaled sharply. "It's calling you." The leader stepped back. "What's calling him?" My father swallowed hard. "The throne." The chamber fell silent. A throne, not made of wood, not gold, not jewels. A throne forged from winter, from memory, from the spark that lived inside me. The ancient seat of the third line. And it was awake. The daywalkers murmured, "No, the throne was destroyed. It sank with the old city. It was lost forever." But my father shook his head. "No throne with a spark ever dies. It sleeps." He pointed at the glowing sigils under my feet. "And it wakes. For him." The silver light brightened. A soft hum filled the air. The temperature dropped again. Breath fogged. The throne wasn't in this room. It wasn't behind the breach. It wasn't buried under ruins. It was somewhere deeper. Farther. older, and it wanted me. The leader looked uneasy. So, what happens now? My father tried to stand, failed, coughed. He ascends. Those words hit harder than any blade. Ascends, as in, claims the throne, as in, becomes king. No, I wasn't ready. I wasn't trained. I wasn't stable. I wasn't strong enough. I was just a kid who worked at a vampire bar. I can't do this, I whispered. I'm not. The floor cracked again. A deep, rumbling sound echoed from the far end of the city. A dark corridor opened. Cold wind rushed out, carrying whispers, voices, ancient, layered. Heir, come, claim what is yours. The silver path extended beneath my feet, leading toward that corridor, inviting, commanding. My father reached out for me. Son, listen. I knelt beside him. Dad, please don't talk like you're dying. He smiled faintly. You'll be the king. You'll heal me. You'll heal all of us. I shook my head. I don't want a crown. He squeezed my wrist weakly. Then wear it for the right reason. My eyes burned. What reason? He leaned closer, voice fragile. To protect those who never had one. My breath caught. I looked at the feral king, still alive, still fighting, still refusing to die. He protected me. Even when he could barely stand. Even when it nearly killed him. And suddenly I understood. This wasn't destiny. This wasn't a curse. This wasn't punishment. This was responsibility. This was survival. This was leadership. This was the spark choosing me because someone had to stop the ancients. Someone had to stop the royals. Someone had to protect our people. Someone had to stand between monsters and the ones they hunted. Why not me? I stood. The silver path burned brighter, symbols glowing under my feet, frost crawling outward. The leader swallowed hard. Kid, you really going? I nodded. Yeah. He bowed his head slightly, a gesture of respect. You're a better king than any of them ever were. My chest tightened. I'm not a king yet. He smirked. You will be. I turned toward the silver corridor. Air stirred around me. Cold wind pulled at my clothes. Moptimus hummed softly in my hand. The feral king lifted his head, barely, struggling. His voice was a crack in stone. Go. I stepped closer to him. I'll come back for you. He nodded once, slow, pained. I know. My heart clenched. He believed in me. So did my father. So did the throne. Now I had to believe in myself. I walked toward the corridor. Each step felt heavier, colder, more real. The whispers grew louder. Heir of winter, child of frost, come take what was stolen. I looked back one final time. At my father, at the daywalkers, at the feral king, at the ruins of everything I used to be. Then I stepped into the dark, and the throne welcomed me home. The corridor swallowed me whole. Cold air wrapped around my shoulders. The walls pulsed with silver veins. Ancient whispers drifted through the dark. Each step felt heavier, not from fear, from expectation, from history pressing down. This was where the third line ended, or where it began again. The spark inside me throbbed, warm, alive, guiding me deeper. Moptimus hummed softly in my hand, not urging, not warning, just present, like he knew this place, like he remembered it. The corridor opened into a massive chamber, silent, frozen, sacred. The roof arched high above me, carved with constellations I didn't know, stars from a sky no longer visible. Snow drifted from nowhere, slow, soft, eternal. In the center stood the throne. It wasn't ornate. It wasn't majestic. It wasn't beautiful. It was terrifying. A colossal seat formed from black ice and ancient bone. Ribs of frozen giants curved along the sides. A spine of unknown creatures arched behind it. Silver energy pulsed beneath the surface. Faint, rhythmic, like a sleeping heart. The throne breathed, slowly, softly, waiting. My own breath fogged in front of me. I stepped forward. Every footprint froze instantly. The spark inside me grew louder, hotter, brighter. Moptimus vibrated. A subtle tremor, a connection. He wanted me closer. The whispers returned, layered, soft. Heir. Return the spark. Awaken the line. I stopped at the foot of the throne. My chest burned. My veins glowed. Light flickered beneath my skin. Moptimus lifted slightly, not by my strength, by his. He was drawn to the throne, to the relic inside him, to the power forged by my ancestors. I raised him overhead. Silver light gathered at the tip, blinding, holy, ancient. The throne pulsed in answer. My heartbeat synced with it. One rhythm, one pulse, one destiny. I swallowed hard. Okay, I'm here. My voice echoed across the frozen chamber. Small, human. But the throne didn't want a king who felt invincible. It wanted one who felt responsible. I lowered Moptimus. The mop's handle touched the throne. The world imploded. Silver exploded outward. Light filled the chamber. The floor cracked. The air turned to frost. My breath was torn from my lungs. The throne roared to life. A tidal wave of ancient memories slammed into me. Thousands of voices, thousands of generations, rulers, warriors, guardians. I saw battles fought in blizzards, cities carved from winter storms, kings crowned in frost and moonlight. I saw my mother, standing where I stood, holding Moptimus, her eyes glowing bright silver, her breath forming clouds of cold. She whispered, "Protect the weak. Defy the cruel. And when the spark chooses you, do not run." Her hand reached toward me. My heart cracked open. She placed something into my chest. A memory, a promise, a blessing. The chamber shook again. The light flared brighter. The spark inside me fused with something older. My mother's voice faded. "I'm proud of you, my love. Claim the throne." I staggered backward, breath ragged, chest burning, vision blurring. But I didn't collapse. Not this time. This time the power held me up. I stepped forward, toward the throne, toward my destiny. The whispers grew louder. "Heir! Sit. Become what you were forged to be." But before I sat, before I claimed the crown, before I let the ancient spark complete the awakening, another presence entered the chamber. A shadow at the far end, huge, staggering, broken, the feral king. He leaned on the wall, breathing hard, bleeding heavily, barely standing. But he came anyway. He limped forward, one slow step at a time. "Heir," he rasped. "You should not do this. Alone." Tears stung my eyes. "You shouldn't be here." He laughed weakly, a harsh cracking sound. "Kings do not ascend without witnesses." He took another step, knees shaking, body failing. "But I am not a king." He looked up at me. Silver flickered in his fading eyes. "Yet I chose you." My chest tightened painfully. This monster, this ancient creature feared by entire bloodlines, believed in me more than anyone. He forced himself closer, collapsed to one knee, head bowed. "My loyalty is yours." I swallowed hard. "You don't have to bow." He lifted his head. A faint grin twisted his broken jaw. "Then hurry and sit, so that I bow to a king." The spark surged. The chamber brightened. The throne pulsed. I turned toward it, toward the frozen seat that carried the weight of centuries. Everything I had been led here, every pain, every loss, every fight, every shift I worked at the vampire bar, every night I survived. This was the moment. I climbed the steps. My heart thundered. The silver inside me blazed. The whispers rose to a roar. I lowered myself onto the throne, and the world shattered. Light poured from the seat, From my chest, from Optimus, from the runes on the floor. My body lifted, my hair rose, my breath froze. A column of silver erupted upward, piercing the ceiling, racing into the dark above, waking the city, calling every vampire in existence. The spark completed itself, and a voice, deep, ancient, undeniable, spoke through me. The King of Winter rises. The throne accepted me. The spark crowned me. The third line lived again. I wasn't just a bartender anymore. I was the new ruler of all vampires. The world came back in pieces. First sound. A low hum, like a glacier cracking, like a star breathing. Then sight. Silver light fading, shadows returning, snow drifting through the air again. Then feeling. Cold, deep, comfortable, alive. I was sitting on the throne, not dying, not screaming, not breaking. I felt whole. The spark wasn't a storm anymore. It was calm, steady, anchored inside me, not tearing me apart, not burning me alive, just existing, like it had always belonged there. The chamber glowed with soft silver. The cracked floor had healed. The frozen air was still, almost peaceful. The world had changed, and so had I. A voice drifted from below. "My king." The feral king knelt at the foot of the throne, head bowed, his massive form trembling, his wounds steaming, his black ice melting into glittering shards. But he wasn't dying now, not anymore. Silver light seeped into his wounds, stitching him back together. Slow, painful, but real. I rose from the throne. My steps echoed softly. My feet left faint silver prints. Not frost, not blood. Something else. Power. I stepped down the stairs. Optimus hung at my side, calm, silent. But I could feel his hum, like a heartbeat against my palm. When I reached the feral king, he lifted his head. His eyes glowed a soft, pale silver. Not black, not monstrous. Changed. He whispered, "You wear it well." I knelt beside him. "You're healing." He nodded slowly. "Your power touches all around you." He looked at the silver light in my veins. "You are not just the heir. You are the true king." The words hit me. Hard, heavy, real. I looked at my hands, at the silver glow beneath my skin. "How do I control this?" He gave a weak laugh. "You don't." I froze. He continued. "You guide it. You don't command it. The spark is older than kings. Older than the first bloodline. Older than us all." He coughed. Silver mist escaped his lips. "It chose you, because you refuse power, and that is the only reason you deserve it." I didn't know what to say, didn't know how to breathe. But then I heard footsteps. Soft, slow, human. My father. He limped into the chamber, supported by 2 daywalkers. His wounds still glowed silver, healing but not fast enough. He looked at me, and for the first time in my life, he bowed. A real bow, a deep one, a king's bow. "Your Majesty," he whispered. "No." I stepped forward and grabbed his shoulders. "You never bow to me." He smiled weakly. "That's what I told your mother." My breath caught. "Tell me," I whispered. "What happened to her?" He closed his eyes. Pain washed over his face. Not physical, emotional. She was the last true monarch. She carried the spark. She carried the throne's will. He looked up at me, tears forming, and the royals feared her. A cold chill moved down my spine. "They killed her." He shook his head. "No, they tried, but she was too strong." He leaned against the wall, breathing hard. "She hid the spark, split it, placed one half in you, and the other in the only thing she trusted more than the throne." I looked down at Optimus. He hummed softly. My voice cracked. "She hid it. In a mop?" My father laughed, weak, warm. "She was clever like that. I looked at the mop, at the ancient silver now glowing along the handle, at the sigils burned into the wood. He wasn't just a tool. He was a vessel, a guardian, a legacy, a gift. Before I could speak, the ground trembled. Not the collapse, not the breach. Something else. A pulse, a heartbeat, deep in the stone. The leader ran into the chamber. "King," he caught himself, still not used to the word. "Sir, you need to see this." I followed him toward the entrance. Silver light trailed behind me. It clung to the walls, the air, even the broken stone. The throne's power was spreading, alive, awake. We reached the top of the stairs and I saw it. The city was changing. The ruins were rebuilding themselves, stones lifting, walls rising, towers knitting back together from frozen dust. Silver veins crawled across every surface. Bridges formed over frozen chasms. Obelisks straightened. The ancient city of the third line was returning. Daywalkers stood in awe. Some knelt, some cried, some simply stared. This wasn't destruction. This was rebirth. The leader whispered, "You're restoring it." I swallowed hard. I didn't mean to. He shook his head. "No, that's the proof. The throne trusts you." A new sound filled the cold air. Shouts, screams, footsteps. I turned. Royal soldiers, the survivors, the desperate, but they weren't charging. They weren't attacking. They were fleeing, running, terrified, clawing over each other to escape the rising city. The ground glowed brighter. Silver light spread beneath their feet. Where it touched them, they froze. Not in ice, in place, like the throne was holding them still. A voice echoed across the city. A voice echoed across the city. My voice, but older, deeper, layered with something ancient. "Stop!" Every soldier froze, even the ones mid-run, even the ones mid-scream. I hadn't meant to do that. I hadn't even tried. The spark had acted for me, as me, with me. The leader turned to me slowly, eyes wide. "Your Majesty, you control them." A chill rolled down my spine. No, not control, not command. Influence, pressure, a presence so old that even royals had to obey it. I stepped forward. The frozen soldiers trembled, their eyes wide with terror. I raised Moptimus. Silver light ran along the handle. The air hummed. "My reign begins tonight." My voice echoed across the reborn city, strong, steady, unmistakably royal. "But hear me now." The silver light flared. The throne answered, "I will not rule by fear. I will not rule by cruelty. I will not rule like the crown." The frozen soldiers trembled harder. Their armor rattled. "I free you!" Silver light swept outward. The soldiers dropped to their knees, released, shaking, breathing, alive. Some stared at me in awe, some in confusion, some in relief, but none attacked. The leader stepped beside me. "What now?" "My king." I looked out at the rising city, at the glowing towers, at the reborn halls, at the army bowing before me. "Now," I said softly, "we rebuild." But deep in the distance, far beyond the city, far beyond the ruins, far beyond the mountains, a tremor answered. Not from the ancients, not from the royals. Something else, something older, something waking. And the spark inside me whispered, "The true enemy rises." The city kept rebuilding. Stone slid into place. Bridges snapped together. Spires rose from piles of rubble. Silver light moved like water through the streets. It flowed around the daywalkers, around the royal soldiers, around me. The third line wasn't just returning, it was waking up. But the spark inside my chest twisted, uneasy, restless, like it knew something I didn't. The leader stood beside me, his armor cracked, his face bruised, his eyes burning with a new kind of hope. "Look at it," he whispered. "This was our home, before everything went to hell." I swallowed. "Looks better than the bar." He snorted once, then went quiet. Below us, the royal soldiers knelt in the square. Some stared at the rising towers. Some bowed their heads. Some watched me like I might decide their fate with one word. King. That was me now, whether I wanted it or not. The spark pulsed again. Harder. Sharpened. Something was wrong. I glanced up. At the sky above the cavern. At the cracks where faint light seeped through. The air felt heavy. Thick. Off. Like a storm was forming. But not a normal one. A whisper slipped through my mind. Not the throne. Not the ancients. Something darker. You are late. I stiffened. Did you hear that? The leader frowned. Hear what? I scanned the city, the square, the towers, the air. Nothing. The spark hissed against my ribs. A warning, a shiver. I gripped Moptimus a little tighter. The mop vibrated, subtle, watchful. I didn't like that. If the mop was nervous, it was bad. My father limped toward us, supported by 2 daywalkers. His wounds glowed with soft silver now, healing slowly under the throne's influence. He looked better, but not safe. You felt it too, he said quietly. I nodded. What is it? He stood beside me, gazing over the city, his eyes old, tired, haunted. The throne is not afraid of many things, he said, but it fears what it cannot see. The spark twisted, and the whisper came again. You wear stolen power. I froze. This time the voice was clearer, closer, inside. I tasted ash, and old blood, and iron. Dad, I said. We aren't alone. His jaw clenched. Where? The voice answered before I could. Everywhere. The shadows in the square deepened, not from the light, from something else. They stretched longer, crawled along the stone, gathered beneath the kneeling soldiers, swirled at the base of every tower. The spark flared in alarm. Silver light climbed my arms, out of instinct, out of fear. The leader swore softly. That's new. The shadows thickened into a single shape. Tall, thin, wrong. It rose from the center of the square, where the old fountain once stood. No body, no face, no clear edges. Just darkness, layered, alive. The royal soldiers recoiled. Some shouted prayers. Some screamed. None ran. They couldn't. The shadows held their feet. The leader whispered, Please tell me that's another ancient and not something worse. The spark inside me answered, Worse. The shadow's voice slid through the air, through bone, through thought. We finally meet Heir. I stepped forward, Moptimus humming like a live wire in my grip. Who are you? The shadow tilted its head. We wore many names. Councils, oracles, voices of the gods. The spark shuddered. We were the first to bind the throne. My father swore under his breath. The Primarchs, he whispered. I thought they were myth. I frowned. Primarchs? He nodded slowly. The ones who taught the first bloodlines how to use the spark. The ones who convinced us we needed kings. The shadow rippled. You needed order. Without us, your kind were animals. I gritted my teeth. We had choice. It laughed. A dry, rattling sound. Choice led to war. I clenched my jaw. Pretty sure you did that. The shadow sharpened. We gave your people a throne. We gave you a crown. We gave your kind purpose. My father spat blood. You gave us war. You pitted lines against each other. You wiped out the third. The shadow flickered. We culled the weak. My vision tinted red. The spark growled. Silver light brightened along my veins. You killed my mother, I said softly. The shadow paused, just for a moment. She refused the order. She split the spark. She hid part of the throne in an object beneath notice. Moptimus vibrated, hard, defiant. The shadow seemed to notice him fully for the first time. The vessel. We have been looking for that fragment. I raised the mop. Come and get it. The leader hissed under his breath. Bold for someone who almost cracked reality last time. The shadow stretched taller, wider, its edges sharpened. We guided the royals. We manipulated the ancients. We shaped your war. The spark slammed against my ribs, angry, awake. You were behind all of it. We ensured survival. You ensured control. The shadow's voice cooled. Control is survival. I took a step forward. Silver light wrapped around my shoulders, down my spine, into the ground. I'm done with your version of survival. The shadow shuddered. You sit on our throne. I shook my head. It's not yours. It leaned closer. Even from across the square, it felt close. Breath, cold, on my face. Hands on my throat. Everything is ours. The spark burned hotter. Silver flames crawled up my neck, across my cheek, into my eyes. You don't get it, I whispered. The ground under my feet glowed brighter. The city pulsed. The throne listened. You used kings as puppets. You used bloodlines as weapons. You used war as a leash. I raised Moptimus. Silver lightning snapped across the handle. But your leash just snapped. The shadow hissed. We can still fix you. We can hollow you out. We can use your body as we used your father's. My heart hammered. You try that. My voice deepened, layered with the throne's echo. And I end you. The square shook. Towers trembled. Even the shadows backed off a little. The leader muttered, "Okay, that sounded like a king." The shadow settled, no longer stretching, studying. You would destroy us? If I have to. Silence followed, heavy, thick. Then the shadow's voice dropped, even colder. You cannot kill what thinks from behind your eyes. A spike of pain stabbed into my skull, sharp, sudden. I stumbled. The world tilted, silver and black blurred together. The spark flared, fought, snarled. The shadow pushed harder. We were here before your birth. We whispered from behind your father's dreams. We talked through your royals. It pressed closer. Inside my mind, I saw flashes, quick, sharp. The bar, the night I started working there, the strange feeling on my first shift, the sense I was being watched, waited. It wasn't just vampires. It was them. They had been watching me all along. I dropped to one knee, head pounding, hands shaking. Moptimus slammed against the ground on his own. Silver sparks flew. The pain eased. The shadow recoiled slightly. The vessel interferes. Damn right he did. I forced myself back to my feet, chest heaving, vision sharpening. You don't get to live in my head. The shadow stretched taller. You would rather annihilate us. Lose what we know? Lose what we built? I thought of the royals, the ancient winter beings, the wars, the dead, the wreckage. I thought of my mother, hiding the spark, hiding a piece of the throne in a mop, planning for someone like me. You built cages, I said. I'm building something else. The shadow's tone flattened. Very well. The ground split. Shadows poured from the crack, not one shape, many, dozens, hundreds. The Primarch stepped forward. Silhouettes, eyes like dying stars. The leader drew his sword. Yeah, he muttered. Of course there's more of them. The spark surged. Silver fire climbed my arms, my chest, my throat. Moptimus pulsed like a heart in my hand. This was it. The true enemy. The mind behind the wars. The hand behind the crown. They wanted my throne, my spark, my will. I gave them my answer. You wanted a puppet. I lifted Moptimus. You got a king. And then the war truly began. The Primarchs moved like living shadows. Not fast, not slow, just inevitable. Dozens of tall, thin shapes drifted across the square, eyes glowing like dying embers, voices whispering over each other, a chorus of forgotten gods. The Daywalkers backed up in tight formation. Their shields trembled, their breath fogged. They were terrified. The royal soldiers dropped to their knees. They knew those voices. They lived under them, feared them. My father pressed a hand to the wall, barely standing. His voice, raspy. "Son, these are the architects of our bloodlines." The leader spat. "Then why do they look like floating nightmares?" My father answered without looking away. "Because that's what they always were." The spark inside me roared. Silver fire crawled up my neck, into my eyes, across my chest. The Primarch spoke as one. "Heir of winter, king of a broken line, your throne belongs to us." I stepped forward. "My throne belongs to no one but me." A ripple passed through the shadows, like they didn't expect me to say that, like defiance was an outdated language to them. The central Primarch leaned closer, its shape sharpened, edges shifting like knives in smoke. "We killed kings before you." My grip on Moptimus tightened, and every one of those kings failed. A low hiss rolled through the group. "We built your world. You broke it." The Primarch's eyes dimmed, then ignited brighter. "We guided your mother." My heart stopped. "What?" The shadows twisted. "She was powerful, but lost. We whispered to her. We shaped her choices. We led her to the crown." Rage snapped through me like lightning. "You manipulated her?" "We guided her. You used her. She was a vessel." I took one slow step forward. The ground beneath me crackled with frost. "You murdered her." Silence. Then, "We improved her." Silver exploded out of me. The ground shattered. A wave of frost ripped across the square. Everything froze for a heartbeat. The air, the stone, the shadows. The Primarch staggered but didn't fall. "Good. The king is waking." Moptimus pulsed in my hand. Silver lightning crawled across the handle. The mop bristled like a drawn weapon. The leader shouted, "Kid, hit them before they regroup." He was right. I charged the central Primarch. Moptimus swung in a clean arc, Silver trailing behind like a comet. The shadow dissolved into black mist. The mop hit nothing. The Primarch reformed behind me. Futile, I spun. Moptimus hummed. He guided my arm sideways, blocking a spear of shadow aimed at my chest. Another Primarch lunged, then another, and another. They were everywhere. Every angle, every direction. A wall of moving darkness. I swung again, and again, and again. Silver cuts tore through the air, light clashing against shadow. But each time, the Primarch's dissolved, shifted dance through the attacks. The leader and the Daywalkers charged in, weapons glowing with faint silver, the throne empowering them too. But the shadow slipped around their blades, their spears, their shields. My father shouted through the chaos, "Son, Primarchs don't bleed. You can't kill what doesn't have a form." A spear of shadow pierced the ground next to me. Stone cracked. Frost rose. "So, how do I kill them?" His answer shook me. "You destroy the source." The spark inside me pulsed violently. The source? I looked at Moptimus. The mop trembled. The sigils on the handle glowed. Of course, the Primarchs weren't living beings. They were ideas, commands, ancient laws baked into the foundation of vampire society. They were shadows created by belief, by obedience, by kings who knelt. The Primarchs fed on structure, hierarchy, control. They existed because the throne allowed them to. If the throne rejected them, they would die. I breathed out slow, calm, focused, certain. Time to end this. I slammed Moptimus into the ground. Silver erupted outward. A shockwave blasted across the square. The air screamed. The shadows staggered. The entire city responded. Lights flared in towers. Streets glowed. Sigils awakened everywhere. My voice mixed with the thrones. Old and young. Human and ancient. "You have no authority here." The shadows convulsed. "Stop. We command. We are the architects." I stepped forward. "Not anymore." The spark blazed inside me. Silver spilled from my eyes. "I am the king. And I choose a different future." The Primarchs writhed. their bodies cracked with white fractures. Light leaked through them. "You cannot erase us. We are your creators," I raised Moptimus. "And I am your end." I swung the mop like a blade. A crescent of silver tore through the air. Silent, perfect, final. The Primarchs screamed. Their shadows split, fractured, shattered into thousands of pieces. Then, they evaporated. Gone. Every last one. Silence fell. Deep, heavy, staggering. The Daywalkers lowered their weapons. The royal soldiers collapsed in relief. My father dropped to one knee, breathing hard. The leader wiped frost from his face. "Kid," his voice shook, "you didn't just kill the monsters?" He looked at me with something close to disbelief. "You killed the system that created them." The throne's light dimmed. The air warmed slightly. Moptimus stopped vibrating. It was over. Or so I thought, because as the shadows faded, as the Primarchs died, something deeper stirred. A tremor shook the city. A low rumbling sound, like stone grinding, like a creature waking up. My father's eyes widened in horror. "No! No, no, no!" The leader swallowed hard. "What is that?" My father whispered. "The throne's root. The first spark. The original power the Primarchs tried to hide." He looked at me. "Son, you woke something older than kings." A deep, monstrous voice rolled through the earth. "Heir! You have freed me." The ground cracked, silver turned to black, and the true enemy rose. The ground split open. Not a crack, not a tremor, a chasm. The entire square tore apart as if something beneath the earth took one long, ancient breath. Daywalkers screamed. Royal soldiers scattered. Stone towers trembled. Silver light flickered. The city wasn't rising anymore. It was recoiling. My father shouted over the chaos, "Son, back away from the center." But I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't blink, because something was climbing out of the fracture. A shape, a silhouette, a presence older than the throne, older than the bloodlines, older than every whispered legend. Black frost crawled up the walls. Air turned heavy. Cold cut deep. Then, a massive hand gripped the edge of the chasm. Clawed, armored in ancient ice. Runes glowing beneath the surface. Another hand followed. Then a head. A creature of winter and bone. A titan made of night. Eyes burning with a cold that wasn't physical. Not hunger. Not malice. Purpose. The first spark. The origin. The beginning. The power before the throne had a name. The spark inside my chest thrashed like an animal. Silver flared behind my eyes. The Titan's voice shook the world. "Heir, you have broken the chains. You have freed me." Freed? No. No, that wasn't right. "I didn't mean to free anything," I shouted. The Titan leaned closer. Cold rolled off him in waves. Frost cracked across the ground. "The Primarchs trapped me. Their shadows fed on my power. But you cleaved them open." The leader cursed beside me. "Kid, tell him we didn't do it on purpose." My father grabbed my arm. "Son, listen to me." His voice shook. "This thing isn't a king, it's not a monarch, it's not even a god." He swallowed hard. "It's the original spark that created the first vampire." Oh, hell. My heart dropped into my shoes. "You're telling me this thing made vampires?" He nodded slowly. "And it doesn't think like we do." The Titan rose to its full height, a living glacier, a god that never cared about prayers. "The throne chose you. Now you choose the fate of all blood." The spark inside me twisted painfully. My veins burned silver. My chest throbbed. The first spark was trying to merge with me, to fill me, use me, become me. Moptimus shook violently, sigils burning bright, protective, defiant. The Titan noticed. "The vessel of my fragment. Return it to me." I clutched the mop to my chest. "No." The Titan's eyes narrowed. You defy your creator? My voice cracked, but held firm. I defy anyone who tries to control me. The feral king, still barely alive, forced himself up on one knee. He lifted his head, black ice dripping from his jaw. He is not yours. He is our king. The Titan turned to him, monster of the old blood. You were my first child. The feral king froze. Horror flashed in his eyes, then sadness. You abandoned us, he whispered. The Titan rumbled. I was imprisoned. You let them make kings, the feral king growled. You let them use us. We are beyond use. He wasn't angry. He wasn't proud. He wasn't cruel. He just was. The first spark looked at me again. Heir, I offer you evolution. You will be more than a king. A new beginning. A new species. A world without hunger. Without war. Without human limitation. The leader whispered, Kid, this is how world-ending choices start. My father gripped my shoulder. Son, think. If you merge with it, you won't be you anymore. The spark inside me pulsed. Hard. Painful. The Titan reached out an open palm. Choose ascension. I raised Moptimus. The mop burned silver. Blinding. Alive. Fierce. No. The Titan's voice boomed across the entire city. Why? I stepped forward. The throne's light flared behind me. Because I just rebuilt this world. I'm not handing it to something that doesn't understand it. The Titan leaned closer. You would kill your maker? If I have to. The Titan roared. The city cracked. Snow blasted outward in a storm of white. Daywalkers shielded their faces. Royal soldiers hit the ground. The feral king braced himself, barely standing. The Titan raised both arms. Then you are no heir of mine. You are a mistake. I tightened my grip on Moptimus. No. I'm the future. The Titan slammed his hands into the ground. A shockwave burst through the square. Black frost shot across the stone. The city dimmed, and the spark inside me erupted. Silver exploded outward, blocking the black frost, stopping the wave pushing back against a god. The Titan recoiled. Impossible. No, I said. That's being king. The Titan rushed me. A mountain of living winter, a force of nature. I swung Moptimus. Silver light cut through the air. It hit the Titan's chest, and for the first time since the world began, the first spark stumbled. He roared. Anguish, surprise, hate. You cannot end me! I can end your cycle, I said, and that's the same thing. The spark ignited in my veins. Flames of silver ripped from my body. Threads of light chained the Titan in place. The city responded. Every tower lit up. Every rune burned white. Every piece of the old world turned toward me. The throne added its voice to mine. And together, we ended him. I thrust Moptimus forward. Silver speared through the Titan's chest. Black ice shattered. The world screamed. The first spark broke apart, dissolving into glittering ash scattered to the rebuilt city below. Silence hit like a hammer. The chasm sealed. The frost receded. Silver light washed across the ruins. The war was over. The daywalkers kneeled. The royals bowed. Even the feral king lowered his head. My father limped to my side. Proud, shaking. Son, he whispered. You didn't just save us. He looked at the sky above the cavern. Light returned, stars visible. You saved the whole world. I lowered Moptimus. The mop flickered once, then went still. Guess my shift is finally over, I said. My father smiled. No. You're king now. The city roared with living silver. I took a breath. Looked at the throne. Looked at the people. Looked at the new world. Then let's get to work.